Jennie Ray Price has lost over half of her body weight. Not only that, she has cleared so many challenges, skin issues, depression, postnatal depression, and so much more, which is life-changing. 263 days plus on a juice cleanse. I'm so excited to be sharing Jennie's story here with you today. So we have the gorgeous Jennie, and it's unbelievable that Jennie is on 263 days of a juice cleanse. Well done, amazing, and I'm so happy you're here to share your experience with us, and why you decided to go on a juice cleanse and what you've been processing through this sacred journey, because I bet it's been a journey, but what a fulfilling one. And it's so great that you are inspiring all of us, and even just those that are interested in just eating better, eating much more healthily. So we'll talk a little bit about where you was, where you started, and you can go as far back wherever you feel it relates and can help others see, because in our stories is where we really share the pain and the relatability. So I'm really interested where you was, the mindset wise, and your body as well. So please share, Jennie. Thank you for coming on as well.
Thank you so much for having me, Toni. You're such a sweet spirit and such an inspiration yourself. And I love seeing all your raw food and your, body positivity and empowerment, especially for women. I love it. So thank you for having me. My journey started a long time ago. I have been overweight for most of my life. I experienced, So I started comfort eating at a very young age, I'll say that. And I've been over 200 pounds since I was in high school, but overweight even since childhood. So that's part of my journey, because I think a lot of people can relate to that. I think a lot of people, especially in the States where I'm from, a lot of kids are overweight and, start struggling that battle like so early in life. So that was a battle I was struggling, and always athletic. I love to play sports, and I lettered varsity, lots of I played a lot of sports and was very active. So it had to do with the diet aspect and why I was eating, like the emotional aspect, because I got plenty of activity as a kid. So moving on into adulthood, I yo-yo dieted, I feel like everyone else, and tried everything and did keto and paleo and all those things over the years, wanting to lose weight, but never really getting where I wanted to be and like where I felt was a healthy state. And then I had my son in 2018. And then in 2020, about a week before COVID lockdown, I had my daughter. And after having my daughter and just being afraid, like the rest of the world, being locked up during that time, we're not going to work. And I had a newborn and didn't know what was going on. And I got severe postpartum depression. But honestly, I had struggled and not really recognized that I had really struggled with anxiety and depression for a lot of my life already. But I really realized it because the postpartum depression became so serious. Like after I had my daughter, it was very, very serious. And I started looking into, let me say this, let me backtrack just a little bit. Before I had my children, I've always been on the search for health, like so many people. And I went vegan probably, I can't remember, 6 to 8 years ago. It's been quite some time since I had any animal products. And I was in college at the time and taking a nutrition course. And it was the year that the World Health Organization said that they classified meat as like a class 2 carcinogen. And most people just kind of went about their day and just kept on going. But for me, it was like, cancer was prevalent in my family, and I would really like to try to not go down that route. I wanted to have kids and have a family. And my boyfriend at the time, now husband, I said, hey, my teacher had me watch like Cowspiracy and Farm Inc. And I think my teacher was like low key vegan, like, and it's like having us watch these documentaries, planting these seeds. Yeah. And so I was like, they're saying that meat is causing cancer now, and I really don't feel good eating it. And I feel bad for the animals. And I know it's not good for the planet and climate change and just everything happening. I think I'm going to try to stop. And he was like, oh, well, I won't do it forever, but I'll try it with you. And I was like, okay, we're real open-minded people. And so like the first month we cut out pork, and then the next month we cut out beef, and then the next month we cut out chicken, and then the next month. So we tapered. I know a lot of people don't do it that way, but we were vegetarian for about a year before we went vegan, until we could give up those eggs and cheese, because the hormones and stuff, it was the hardest thing to give up for us. So then actually we never looked back, and a lot of the health problems we had disappeared just from going vegan. So I used to take migraine medicine. I didn't have to take that anymore. Doctors told me I would have trouble having children. My husband and I got both our children on the first shot. There was no problem there. And I just saw an overall improvement in my health and mood. But eventually, especially living here in Dallas, we have any kind of vegan restaurant you could possibly want to visit here. If you want vegan ribs, you can get that. If you want Vietnamese, if you want like whatever you want vegan, you can get it here. And all these faux meats and these processed vegan things really got really prevalent. And my husband and I found ourselves like eating out a lot and eating that vegan processed food a lot, more than in the beginning. When they didn't have all that stuff, we ate more whole food, plant-based, just naturally, because there wasn't all these options, but we found ourselves kind of slip into those options and just start not feeling as well as when we, first were eating the whole foods. So after that backtrack, now fast forward, now I had my son, then I had my daughter, then COVID lockdown. I had always been interested in health. So I had looked at like raw vegan eating, and I just couldn't keep consistent with it, probably because my gut was just so polluted. It was very difficult. And actually, when I started out, everyone, I was 267 pounds, 267. And I started eating more raw foods, and I watched this movie, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. With Joe Cross. And he basically goes around the country juicing, and he has an illness that the doctors told him that could not be cured. And he cures it juicing, like traveling with his juicer, juicing for like 60 days, I think he did. And he was able to reverse his disease. And I was just so inspired. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to try juicing. So I really started looking into it, looking on YouTube at everybody's journeys and what everyone was doing, and looking at people eating raw food afterward. I had been following Fully Raw Christina and a lot of people for a long time. And I had already started like eating more raw food, but I was still eating all the junk with it. So it wasn't really making as big of an impact, I think, which everyone, if you can even just eat one raw meal a day, it will improve your life. So I do want people to know that. Just eat more fruits and vegetables as much as you can. If you have to ease in, whatever you need to do, just try to get more raw, fresh fruits and vegetables, and it will help you. But I was like counteracting it so much with like the opposite end of the spectrum, like having a raw meal, but then having like a big like vegan pizza at dinner with like the fake pepperonis and all the stuff on it, So I got really bad depressed. Like I said, the postpartum depression got really bad. And it came to a point where I realized like that I was just that I really, really needed some help. Like, I was so isolated, like so many moms in COVID. And my heart goes out to just any moms feeling isolated when your children are babies too, because postpartum depression is so common, and so many of us have it and we never say anything. Like I had it with my son too, but it was bearable. But to have it with my daughter in the midst of COVID, when I couldn't see any of my family, none of us could go by each other. Everybody's afraid. Like if anybody, you're like, people are spraying off their groceries, like in the beginning, when it was like crazy. So I saw that movie and I talked to my husband and said, hey, I really would like to save up for like a really nice juicer. And because they're expensive, y'all. So also, if you feel like you don't have money, you can save up. It's okay. Like, it's okay to take your time and do it in your time. So I had to save up some money to get a juicer. I couldn't do it immediately. And when I first started juicing, until I could afford the juicer, I would like sometimes put watermelon in the Vitamix, blend it up, and then strain the watermelon off. And I would drink the juice, just do what you have to do to get those nutrients in. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I would do that, and just doing more smoothies, and like I would eat a lot of I like to have carrots and guacamole and bell peppers, and I started eating more of the raw foods, and I managed to lose about like 29 pounds. So I got down to, I think, 238 when I started this juice cleanse. 238. 48, 58, 68. Yeah, that's right. So 238 when I started juicing. And I started juicing on April 4th this time. But I want y'all to know, when I lost that 30 pounds, it was from like just trying to juice. So like one time I managed to go like 3 days. And then I managed to go, I do a 10-day one, and I was eating more fruits and vegetables. So, a little bit of it came off at first. And then
How long was that process, Jennie? How long was that? When you started on the raw path, how long was that process before the juice cleanse?
I mean, I was trying to eat raw and have more juices probably for a year. Yeah. Before I managed to do this juice cleanse. So everyone know that it's okay if you can't do something overnight, just try again and try again. And, and when the timing is right and the flow is right, and you have your big why, you're going to be able to do it. Don't worry if it takes a long time. I especially love to tell people that, because look how long it took me to lose the weight. I've been over 200 pounds for 20 years now, like over 20 years since I was in high school. So it's okay to like let things happen, in the time that they happen, and don't beat yourself up or give up if you can't do something the first time. Just dust yourself off and try again. So I dusted myself off. I tried again. And eventually, I started looking into like I said, I started looking at everybody on YouTube, and I joined some different groups online to help get some support, and just hear from other people and be inspired and have something to help me, really keep going. And I came across, so many awesome people. And I ended up joining the group Raw Vegan Heroes, and which is where I saw you and so many other inspirational people. And I met my friend Aline there, and she was so supportive. It was like having that friend there to like really hold your hand and walk you through. That is like priceless. And I didn't realize, especially as moms, a lot of times we just think that we have to do everything by ourselves. And I never asked for help. And but then I found this friend, and her light just shined on me, and she helped me and reassured me. And that friendship just blossomed into like a support system, and having support, and then, and the groups, and then she opened a community as well, Kings and Queens of Raw. So just having support from all these different angles really helped me so much with the juicing, and really to realize too, how little it actually had to do with the food, and how much it had to do with emotional trauma and things I hadn't processed as well, because I think I really feel like after doing this, you can clean out your gut, and you do need that. I needed that to be able to address the emotional aspect. But if you clean out your gut and you don't do like the inner work and address like the reasons why you were struggling to begin with, it's easy. So many people will like put the weight back on or, fall back into those old habits. And so I found that I really had to do a lot more work than I thought when I got on the juice. So, and I didn't mention, but like also after my daughter, the postpartum depression was part of it. But the other big part of it is like, along with the postpartum depression, my health started deteriorating very quickly. So with both my kids, I had them pain medicine free, but in the United States, I'm saying that because I know it's different in different countries, but here they check you to see if they swab you when you're going to have children to see if you are GBS positive or not. That's like a certain bacteria strain that if you're carrying, there's like a tiny chance your child could be infected by that bacteria. And it's a very, very slim chance, by the way, but it's scary when doctors are telling you like, you need to take antibiotics to make sure the baby doesn't get this. So I never really took medicine and probably hadn't had antibiotics since I was a child. And when I went into labor with my daughter, I didn't have her right away. I didn't have her for like 24 hours. So they just dosed me with antibiotics around the clock until she was born. So then once she was born, the next week, I was like, actually like 4 days after we got home from the hospital, maybe I was eating a salad because had been working on my raw foods, and I cracked my tooth. I've never had so much as a cavity my whole life. And I really think it was the antibiotics. They did something to me. Wow. So then I had to go in the dentist, and the dentist was like, oh, you need a root canal. I didn't want to do it. I was scared. I was like, I heard those are so bad. And basically, they told me like I really needed it, or I was going to have to they just kind of scared me into that too.
Yeah.
So I did the root canal, and, so after the root canal and the antibiotics and then postpartum depression from COVID and everything else, and the root canal didn't set right, and the dentist closed. So I couldn't even go back in. They had shut down everything. Even the dentist, they had shut them down. So I couldn't even go back in. So I had this bad root canal, which I'm getting pulled this year, just in case it's toxifying me, I'm getting rid of it. So all that happened. And then I saw my health start to deteriorate, like just right after that, like the depression set in right after the antibiotics and the broke tooth and the root canal. I just started getting sick. I had inflammation everywhere. Actually, I found this list, which I've been trying to find this for weeks now. So this is like a special treat that I found this right before this interview. But I had this list, and it started off small, and then it ended up being 2 columns long of all the problems I was having. Yeah. And I always tell people, when you start your juice cleanse or you start on your healthy path, write down the things that you're battling, because you're going to start to feel so good. You won't remember. You won't remember all those aches and pains,
Great advice. Great advice.
Yes. So I can tell you a few things I was suffering from. And also additionally, I got COVID last year, and I had some long effects from it, like some deep, deep nerve pain in my neck that I've actually only just now gotten rid of on this juice cleanse. Like, thank God. But I was having inflammation, and I'm just going to read a few. I'm not even going to read this whole list, but inflammation.
Well, if you want to send me that, I'll put it in the description box.
Okay, I'll send you some of it. Some of it I haven't even shared because it's a little private, but I'll read a few things off here. I had extreme inflammation, like terrible inflammation everywhere. It was getting hard for me to get up and down off the floor with my baby, like 2 weeks after she was born. And I was fine, but I was like running around when I was pregnant with her with no problems. Wow. And my son too, I had no problems. And I had both of them, like I said, no pain medicine, nothing. Like I had practice, like my hypnobirthing and my mindset, and I was in a good place, but my body just did. So it just
really tight. That's what people confuse, like inflammation. They think, well, what really is it? It's your body's just tight. You feel like your joints are just seized, isn't it?
It's just so tight to where, like, if I would get down on the floor with my son and then go to get back up, it would be very, very hard for me to get back up because everything would just be so tight and inflamed, all my joints. I was having the really bad nerve pain in my neck. And I recently went and confirmed that I was having like some scoliosis issues. And also like my tailbone was damaged when my daughter was born. So I've been having tailbone pain and problems also since she was born. Elbow pain, hip pain, knee pain, swelling. My vision started deteriorating. I was seeing like really bad floaters, they call them, like when you see like those dark squiggles, when you move your eyes back and forth. I had a horrible scalp rash and my hair was falling out, like really bad. I think it might have been like, I think they call it seborrheic dermatitis or something. But I had that horrible on my scalp. I had eczema all over my hands and on my legs. I had swollen lymph nodes, fatigue, anxiety, depression. I was having awful shoulder problems. It was very hard for me to open up my shoulders. And I was having really, really bad fibromyalgia and arthritis symptoms. I never went and got diagnosed because, to be honest with you, I didn't want to go in and them tell me. I already had been having symptoms of autoimmune issues for years. Like, I didn't need to go in and have them tell me, yes, you have this autoimmune disease and you need to be on medicine the rest of your life. Like, I just didn't want to do that. So I didn't go in and get a diagnosis, but I used to be a casino in I used to work in a casino in a riverboat. And so I was dealing cards all day. And so I started getting like arthritis symptoms in my hands where my joints would like turn red and lock, and I wouldn't be able to move my fingers in whatever joint was swollen. Like, there's even pictures that have caught it where, I'll be sitting down somewhere and you could see just like my joint back then they would just be red and swollen. And I would have to like run them under hot and cold water over and over again until I could get it loosened up to move my hands again. It was awful. The shoulder problems, hair loss, I was having breakouts, really, really heavy menstrual cycles, and borderline high blood pressure. I could never get any sleep. Really, really irritable, like, emotional instability, which comes along with anxiety, and everybody has it sometimes, but it was like all the time, I was having like TMJ, which is where your jaw locks up, and dental issues because of the inflammation. It was also in my mouth. So my gums were all inflamed and causing like problems, probably partially from the root canal too. But, food addictions, overweight, brain fog. I had a negative self-image and I talked to myself in a negative way. Like, my mindset was just not in a good place. So that's already a lot. I had a lot going on, and almost like the majority of this is no longer, it's
Wow.
Like the biggest blessing in the world. I'm so thankful that, I came across this information, and it's why I come do interviews, and it's why I share, because I saw other people doing this. And if they wouldn't have shared, I would have never known that I could heal myself just by healing my gut. People don't realize that. I didn't know that there's more neurons in your stomach than there are in your brain.
Yeah. Well, they say it shouldn't even be the second brain. It's kind of like, this is your first brain. There's a lot going on here that's connecting. Yeah.
Yeah. I learned that at the Texas Fruit Festival. I saw the raw vegan doctor, and she was explaining, about the amount of neurons, and that, what you were saying, even though we call it the second brain, it's got more neurons than the brain does. And it makes a huge difference in how you process things. So it's been an incredible journey, and most of my issues are gone, are resolved, or just like really, really drastically improving. Like the eczema's gone. The what else? My vision has improved so much. My tailbone pain is mostly gone, but now I'm so slim sometimes that when like I'm doing yoga and stuff, since the tailbone is injured, it will roll across the floor. And then I have pain in it, but it's not like it was before where it's just constant pain. It's just something I kind of sort of have to deal with now. The nerve pain almost completely gone in the neck, the inflammation way down. I do still have some. But it's going to take time. I'm trying to be very patient because I've been doing this for like 8 months or so. It takes people years to heal these sort of inflammatory responses and get everything back good. So my vision is so much better. I'm not even having those floaters anymore, so that my vision fixed itself. The rash is gone on my head. That's all gone. And the eczema is gone. The lymph nodes are like, I'd say 90% down. The anxiety and stuff's way better. My shoulders are getting better.
So take us back, Jennie, to, you was already trialing the raw, you was doing a few juice cleanses. What was that what mindset did you have before you did? Was it something it just clicked? It was just like, I'm going to do a juice cleanse, I'm going to do it for this amount of days? Or did you just say, I'm going to take each day at a time? Did you have a time frame? How did that process unravel?
So I did have a moment, like a light switch moment. I don't know, well, I was going to say, like a little warning for any of your viewers, because my light switch moment is kind of a sensitive topic. But I was, my light switch moment. So first, my goal was 10 days, by the way, for this juice cleanse.
Oh, wow.
It was 10 days because I could never make it past 10 days. I wanted to do a long one, but I told myself, okay, if you can commit to doing more than 10 days and you can get over that mental hump of the 10-day thing I had in my head, then I could do it. So initially my goal was 10 days for this juice cleanse. I had tried several times before this, but the light switch moment for me was, as I mentioned, I had postpartum depression really, really bad. And one day I was sitting at home, alone with my kids, like I was every day, locked up like everyone, with COVID. And it was just so tough. And I had just really slipped so deep into depression. And I was there with my kids and watching TV with them on the couch. And they were watching this little show with these people playing up in this tree. And I looked up and I saw myself swinging from the tree. And I looked away, I didn't want to see it. I was like, what is going on? And then I looked back at the tree and I was still there. I was still hanging there. I could just see myself hanging from that tree. And I realized, like, wow, like this depression is to a whole new level, like you need some help. That moment for me was like, okay, this is like, I really need some help, It wasn't that I needed the weight loss. It wasn't even that, I knew I wanted to improve my health. And that had already really been driving me toward it. But in that moment when I, saw myself and, I had small children, my baby was new and so to have that thought, really hit me like something's got to change. Like I need to make sure that I'm here for my kids and my family and that my health is good because, I'm really struggling. So, if anyone is struggling like me, let me also suggest, I went to therapy and I've been in therapy the entire time I've been on my juice cleanse. And it's helped me so much to work through other things, that all the things we've been stuffing down with the food, all that trauma and that upset, it's just sitting in our gut, making us sick, and that's what was happening to me. And I know it's happening to so many other people. So if you can reach out for support, like friendship, therapy, those things help so much. When we are so overweight, for people out there like me who spent so much time overweight, there's something else inside we need to address, the reason why, it's happened. And So that was like the big kind of like, I really got to do this. You know what I mean? But it still took me try after try after try. But then I finally got it. But that was my big like light switch moment. Like, whoa, everything I've been doing, like, going vegan and just trying to be healthier, what am I doing it for if I'm not here? So that was my big switch. And that's when I really, really started, and I got my first Nama. And this is how long, y'all. So it took me to juice. I saved up for my first Nama. And then like a year to a year and a half later, when I just got this J2, that's when I started this juice cleanse.
Yeah.
It took me that long.
It's a good juicer, hey? You like it?
Oh, it's the best. And I recommend to everybody because it makes everything so easy. Like, I juice so fast and it's so easy to clean, and it makes a huge difference. If I had to like use, like a long time ago, I had one of those ones. I think it was like a Jack LaLanne or something, but oh my gosh, I had to clean it get the bristle thing and just scrub it nonstop. And then when you're just juicing every day, and I have a 2 and a 4-year-old, I don't have time for all that. That's what I tell people too. Like, you don't have to be glued to the juicer. If you save up and just save up for a good juicer, that's going to make the difference for you.
Number one tip. Yeah. And
worth it. It's worth the investment.
Yeah. Because of time and what you get from it as well in the long run. Yeah. I hear somebody. I use the Mui juicer, which is a Chinese brand. It's actually really, I will get the Nama in the future, but I find for me right now, I love, especially because if I was going to do a long cleanse in the future and I feel I'm called to do another one, I've done a 40 and then a 30. I'm doing a mini one. I'm going to see how I go. I'm on a juice cleanse now. I'm doing a mini one over Christmas to actually more for the mentality of the way Christmas, the psyche side, because it's a binge. It's even last year I was, even the raw vegan gourmet foods, I was stuffing my face. I'm focusing more on the emotional. I'm going deeper on the emotional aspect, especially around Christmas. So I'm challenging myself and I'm excited. But I was about to start on the 1st of December, but I was still like, oh, I did it for a few days. I was like, I want to eat, and then I was eating, and then there was a few juices, and I know now it's like enough's enough. I'm done. I am done, and I want to do it over Christmas. And Christmas is like tomorrow, and I'm kind of like, for us in Thailand, because we're on Saturday now. Because you're Friday, you're like Friday night, aren't you? Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm kind of like,
way to go, good for you.
But you're like watching you, and I want to see more of like what you've shared pretty much your journey. Pretty much throughout in the groups, haven't you? Social media wise, we'll share more of where to find you. But I've got a few questions just on like, how did you feel? So you'd already been on the cleanse, so to experience, but when it was really deep and you're getting those deep moments, because I know some that are watching are on the cleanse. I've got some of my clients, I'm going to send this to some of my clients who are deep in their cleanses, 30, 60, and 90 days. When you was getting those really deep times where there was a lot of, not even just physically, but emotionally, when it was coming up, what tips can you share to navigate through that? I share a lot on the meditation aspect. Like, you want to be and feel it there and just sit with it. What have you been using? What tools is helping you move through that process? Because it gets challenging, especially in just life in general. And now you're digging, you're unraveling, you're rocking. I always say, I call it as like the lake. What you're doing is you're stirring things up now, and things are coming to the surface.
Oh, you're absolutely right. When that stuff starts to detach inside and it's, trying to come out, whenever that old stuff, that old waste and mucoid plaque in your gut, whenever it starts to break free, those toxins start popping off and getting in your system, while it's making its way out. Because just think, like, if you have a big, like, something stuck in the pipe and you shake it loose, like, think about all the dirt and stuff that comes off. So you're exactly right. And I had a lot of those moments because I have released a lot of stuff. And usually those moments come before a big release that you're talking about, those big detox moments. They're usually before a big release. So if you can hold on, the only way out is through, or else it's going to stay in there and you're still going to have to deal with it in the future. But there have been a lot of different things I use. I have a lot of tips. One really big thing is journaling. So journaling about the way you're feeling, what's coming up, just things you're thinking about. Sometimes whatever detox you're going through is even attached to like some past emotion, or maybe something you haven't grieved. Or for instance, like the first 10-day juice cleanse I did. When I got to day 10, I just like lost it that day. And I just cried and cried and cried the whole day. And I realized like a song came on that reminded me of like someone that I loved in the past, like a past partner who had actually passed away while I was pregnant with my son. So my husband and I were celebrating our first child's birth. And I sort of just didn't even process that had happened, and never even realized that I needed to process it until lo and behold, I'm on a juice cleanse and I start crying. And I'm like, I ended up talking with my therapist too, like, this person wasn't even good to me, and I separated from this person, separated myself from them, but I'm still having this grief, and she's like, we all grieve. We all have things, you still love that person. You still have to grieve them. But I had no idea that was even there. But it came up when I was juicing. Just all of a sudden I heard a song and I was crying and I thought like, and I grieved that person. So it's really crazy the things that come up. But what you can do is journal. And also something that I started doing to help others, and I have some journals, I'm going to put them out, but I'm working on getting brave, because a lot of people that know me, personally know that I'm actually really shy and I don't like sharing. I share because the only reason I knew to juice is because somebody else shared that information with me. So I want to put, I put it out there on YouTube and Instagram and all the things just to help others. But I was going to say video journaling. I have video journals where I just cried it out, and I talked, and sometimes I talked to myself, and sometimes I talked to maybe potential people who might be watching in the future, telling them like, it's okay to have moments like this. And sometimes I would share those moments in like, a group where I felt safe. Like I might share in Raw Vegan Heroes or Kings and Queens of Raw. And some of them I didn't, I just have them for myself, and some of them I'll share in the future. But if you're planning on doing a long cleanse, it can really help you to talk to yourself. We do not spend enough time talking to ourselves. And when you start juicing and you start talking to yourself, you learn a lot about yourself. And the more you talk to yourself and the more you learn about yourself, the better person you can become. You can be whoever you want to be. You are whoever you want to be inside, but it gets drowned out by all this outside noise and these distractions and people and everything. So talk to yourself, do video journaling, meditation, grounding, bathe in the sun, get those vitamins. And then one of my biggest pieces of advice, especially for you all who have problems with emotional eating, is that it can be really difficult if you use food for comfort and then you rip that comfort away, it can be very harsh, especially for like, say someone like me who's been comfort eating since they were like 5, to just rip that away can be very difficult. And so what I like to encourage people to do is take a piece of paper, write down a list of all the things that you love to do that uplift you. Write down all the things, the self-care practices that you enjoy. If you like to light a candle, if you like to pray, if you like to take a hot bath with salts, if you like to diffuse your essential oils, if you like to jump on your rebounder, if you like to color with your kids, if you like to paint, if you like to write. For me, even sometimes Aline and I always joke about this in the group. I binged Bridgerton for a while, and I don't watch very much TV, but it was just like this guilty pleasure show that I binge watched. Just write down like all the things you like to do that uplift you, and especially things that you feel like you don't have time to do. Because when you start juicing and you're not having to cook and you're not spending all this extra time thinking about, oh, what do I want to eat instead of just what you need to nourish yourself, you have all this extra time on your hands. All of a sudden, I found I had more time to bond with my children, more time to bond with my husband, less dishes to do. Even now, I'm like, do I really want to go back to eating? Because I just don't even want to have to wash any more dishes. And I just want to eat the cantaloupe out of the skin and then just compost the skin,
Yeah.
So you have a lot of time. So instead of just ripping away your comfort blanket, you can do what I did and just take a more gentle approach with yourself, a more loving approach with yourself, and say, hey, okay, this is really hard for me to give this up. I've been using this to comfort myself for a long time. So maybe I can slowly replace this with something else. So if you're feeling like you're having a big emotional detox and you're feeling so stressed out, that's the time to give yourself more love. That's the time to go to your list and say, I think I'm going to do a hot bath with salt, light a candle, and put on some healing sounds in the bathroom. And then go do that and take your mind off of that stress and ease your body while it's trying to release what it is trying to release. And I learned that sort of like over time. My first couple bouts with detox were a lot rougher, but then as time went on and I realized like I could soften my approach and also be like free to drink whatever juices I wanted. At first, I tried to stick to people's protocol, and then I decided, no, like everybody is different. I can do what I want and go by what I feel and learn about myself. All of those things really, really help. So get yourself a list of self-care practices that you could turn to when it's time to pull that comfort away. And also always have a juice. Like if you have to cook or do something for your family, like I have to cook for my family, you need to be drinking juice before and after. And when you're detoxing and you feel like, oh no, I do not want any juice because this is just awful, that's when you need the juice to like wash it out.
Yes.
So that'd be my advice.
Is abundance, not the lack, is the abundance. Because do you have like an average of what you're drinking per day? Do you aim for a certain amount?
So I'm going to be honest, now that I'm in so far, I drink less than I used to because honestly, I mean, when I started out, like I said, I was 240 pounds when I started this juice cleanse. And y'all, by the way, I am 135 now. I've cut myself in half.
Incredible.
Half of what I was. Thank you. But I used to drink, I would always say between like 4 and 8. I don't know if it's a quart or a liter, but the 32-ounce mason jars. Yeah. Is that a quart or a liter? I always get it mixed up.
Well, the mason jar, it depends on the size, but I go in liters. So I think you're drinking, at least a liter. Because you was drinking.
Yeah, the big mason jar.
Yeah, they're about a liter. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I would, when I started off, I would do between 4 and 8 of those a day. And now, to be honest, I really only need like 4. Yeah. And that's plenty for me. But I say follow your body. And if you need more than that, like I try to tell people, you are not going to drink too much juice. Have as much juice as you need to keep like the water going through your gut to get rid of that bad stuff. Because if you shake it up in there and then you don't drink enough juice, it's just sitting there making you more sick. And you're going to just sit there and be in detox. And then you're feeling bad and you don't want any juice. When really like you need the juice to push you through the rest of the way.
What was your favorite juice, Jennie?
My absolute favorite juice is watermelon, pineapple, lime, mint. Oh, and if you go look on my social medias, you'll see that that's my favorite one. You can find it anywhere, and it makes a ton for a little bit of money. Yes. So you can make a ton of juice. There were points at which I drank nothing but like that juice for like a week at a time. I just loved it so much.
Pineapple and ginger, like it's my go-to. It's cheap, it's delicious. I never get bored of pineapple. So even now, like when I come home from the gym, it's like I want to quench my thirst with a pineapple, good liter of pineapple juice. I love pineapple juice.
Oh, me too. I
But with
actually just went
watermelon,
to
try that.
before this, got some.
Sorry.
Say that again. Oh
It's
my.
a little delay. I think there's a delay. I was just saying, like, it's I don't even know. It's just my go-to. It's easy. But what you were saying, it's one of your. Oh, that's what I was saying about your watermelon. I really want to try that combo: watermelon, mint, pineapple, and ginger.
Lime
Oh,
juice.
lime. Oh my goodness, that'd be
I'll
amazing.
send it to you.
Yeah.
It is so good.
Yeah.
Everyone who's tried it tells me it's yummy. When I started drinking that, it was like all I wanted. I'm telling you, I would go weeks, and then I would have a green juice here and there,
Yeah.
because the green juice, I think it is important too. But I will say honestly, at first I tried to shoot for like 50%. Like green juice and then 50% fruit juice. But honestly, I lean more heavily into the fruit at this point.
So,
The
yeah.
longer I've gone, the more fruit I have.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have as much greens anymore, but I love them though. But then sometimes the body will tell you though, sometimes I'll have a day where I just want nothing but green juice. So
Yeah.
I think juicing is really awesome because you learn, like your body starts to really tell you what you need and you can really hear it. Like, oh, wow. Like if my body says I want celery juice, I know I really want it because I don't like celery juice.
Yeah, I don't like celery, but in the mixture of the lemon ginger blast, I've grown to like it. But that's interesting. So, I mean, you find now like the cravings are pretty subsided. You're not really tempted, especially because you're cooking as well for your family. There's no desire anymore.
Oh,
Is that gone?
this is the interesting part. I don't have real hunger cravings for it anymore. No, I do have emotional cravings for the hot food. But when you juice this long, you can tell the difference.
Yeah.
So I know now when I want, others have asked me this as well. They're like, how are you like cooking that amazing curry and you're not wanting to eat it? Well, for me, for any of you out there who are having to cook, for your families and you're trying to do something like this, a good way to look at it is when you get a little further in, I think you can see it easier. But there are days when I would drink like, oh my gosh, over a gallon of fresh orange juice. Okay, that's like a lot of calories. So if I know that I've already had 2,000 calories worth of juice and like I'm stirring this curry up and I'm like, I want to eat this. And I told you, I make sure I drink juice too while I'm cooking for my family.
Yeah.
I already know I've had over 2,000 calories. And at this point, your mind gets more clear the longer you juice. And you can recognize like, I've had 2,000 calories. I'm wanting to eat this curry and I know I'm not hungry and that I've had all the vitamins and minerals that I need for the day. So what is this?
Yeah.
It's not real hunger. It's a memory association. It's an emotional craving for something that makes me feel heavy and numb and sort of sedated in a bit. It's like a drug feeling, And I recognize now that emotional eating really drives so much of my eating and I can just really see it. So that's something that can help you all. If you're like cooking for your family and you've had a lot of juice, while you're cooking, think about how much juice you've had, think about how many calories you've probably had worth of juice. And if it's not enough, then that's why you're wanting to eat the cooked food and you need to go have more. If you already know you've had a ton, and you're still wanting to eat it, then that's a good time to journal with yourself. Learn a little more about yourself. Ask yourself why you're wanting to eat it, and that can really help you, break through and figure out what's really going on. But I realized at one point during my juice cleanse that I had a point where I actually felt true hunger. And it was real hunger pain. And I realized like most of what I thought was hunger in my life was not even hunger. We don't even get to the point of hunger.
Yeah.
I told someone else that too. Food is so convenient now. We're putting it in our mouths before our stomach even growls. Totally. And when our stomach growls, it doesn't even mean we're hungry. it just is like, it's just programmed in us to say, hey, you're going to need to go start looking and gathering some berries or some stuff from nature soon, so that you have something to eat in a little while, because that's how we're programmed. But now food is just so readily available that we take that little cue to go gather food as like, oh, you need to fill your belly. But like, we don't have those problems anymore.
Yeah, those programs of eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's all part of the system. It's interesting. You get so much awareness when you go on this journey. Amazing that it's so clear. This clarity you get is, and you start to experience even in the early days, but it gets stronger as you go through. And now, I've not been as long as yourself, 263 days. Amazing. How long will you continue? Do you know? Do you have a goal or?
Do you know, I cracked open a cantaloupe yesterday, and if it would have been sweet enough, I would have eaten it.
Yeah.
It's time. It's time to start building some muscle. I can feel it, like I think I've gotten, I feel like I'm in a healthy place. I feel like my gut is cleared out. I feel like I have more healing to do, but I can do that with raw foods. Yeah. I feel like I've cleared my gut out, and I'm starting to want to, start to eat the food and work out again. Like I want to build up some muscle. I miss having muscle, and I have lost a lot of muscle mass because I haven't been working out through juicing. And because I'm carrying a lot less than I was carrying before. So just think my muscles were bigger before because I was having to carry around 267 pounds, Yeah. I only carry half of that now. So I would like to get my strength back. So really, I have a papaya downstairs that I just bought at Whole Foods, and I have another cantaloupe. And if either one of those is like perfectly ripe in the next couple days, and y'all see me go live on Facebook, I'm going to be probably eating soon. I'm ready.
Yeah. And are you excited? Is there a little bit of apprehension as well at the same time? Because this would say going into more now of eating the way of eating foods, because your stomach's changed now. There's a lot to contend with now, and most people struggle with this next part rather than the juice cleanse. Is there any apprehension?
Oh, of course there's fear. There's fear, but there has been a lot of preparation. I had a lot of goals that I've really tried to hone in on over this time so that I'd be ready. And also something kind of neat too. I don't know if you know this, but I got to watch my husband refeed because he got inspired by my juice cleanse, and he juice cleansed with me for 100 days.
Hey! Oh, wow. That is amazing.
He is shy, so he hasn't gotten on and like talked about it, and I'm trying to get him to like let me interview him because people want to hear about his experience because so I got to see him do his refeed. So that's been like really beneficial for me too, to see like up close his struggles. Also, I make his food for him. So not all of it, but he works. So a lot of times I make the food before he gets home, and he does high raw. So he eats like juices and fruits all day long. And then at dinner, he usually has like a big salad, but then he likes to have sometimes he likes to have cooked mushrooms or like sweet potato or tofu with his salad for dinner. And that's sort of like the way I wanted to eat all along, is like very, very high raw, but also the freedom if I want to have a sweet potato or some other whole food, no oil. I really love like lentils and stuff. So that's something that I wanted to give myself the freedom to have sometimes. So I do have a pretty strong plan. And then also I'm not jumping, I'm not going to like jump off the juice. I think a lot of people, their juice cleanse ends and they're like, I want to eat everything. But my plan has been to continue to juice. And like maybe the first week I'll start to have some juicy fruit, maybe like once a day, but I'm still having my juice all day. So it's not going to be just like I'm going back on the solid food. I'm going to juice all day. And then, if I want to have a cantaloupe or two, or I don't know how much yet, because I haven't eaten in so long, but I'm just going to start off with juicy fruit, and then I'm going to ease the veggies in there, and then some starchy fruits because I love bananas, and I've been wanting some smoothies with like some banana bowls.
Yeah.
And then, maybe like after that, I'll ease into the fats a little bit. And when I do that, even I'm going to try to go first for like some durian, and then maybe some avocado, and then eventually the nuts. But because I'm healing, I do want to keep it pretty low fat at first, just to continue healing, because I know that that's best. But I also do know that the fats are healthy, and I do want to get a little in there, especially like starting to work out and everything again, so I'm going to really listen to my body, and I'm not going to start off with the cooked stuff either. If I do, I might, honestly, who knows, I might start eating and not even want that. And I'll be happy with that too. If I just start eating raw food and decide like I'm not interested in even the sweet potato, then that'll be awesome too. Right now, just an apple is so attractive to me.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it's appreciation. You've got much more. It's interesting, like I said, what you have more of is what you crave. So you're craving live, whole, natural foods, and this is a very critical time, isn't it? It's where you want to gently go into more of the heavier foods, but very slowly, and being very
Right.
mindful. If you're mindful throughout it, this is going to be a much more enjoyable experience rather than jumping straight, because my breaking of my fast have not been great. That's why I'm keen to do more juice cleanses, more juice fasts, because I have definitely gone into heavier foods, and it was more of the emotional aspect. I mean, my stomach was not. I mean, that's usually what happens is discomfort in the stomach, and I had some discomfort, but it was the emotional. It was like I was ravenous all of a sudden. It was like I wanted to eat everything and anything, and I was even craving animal products. And this is what I see sometimes those do if you're not transitioning carefully, and that's why juice cleanses can get a bad rap, and it shouldn't really. It's just because this process it's a gentle process. You've got to take some time to rebuild the microbiome, the gut, for these incredible foods. And I hope that I can't wait to see your journey in this, because it's something I want to master. But be gentle and loving throughout.
Oh, I don't think that I really feel like we don't ever truly master, but as long as we keep like our heart going in the right direction, and as long as we keep our energy like wanting to go toward doing better. Like my 10-day juice cleanse, when I got to the 10 days and I told you I was all upset and I broke it at 10 days that first time, I broke it with vegan pizza. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sick. So this time when I got to like 30 days or so, and this is helpful for any of you who are over like 30 days or so. Once I got like 30, 40 days in, I was like, okay, if I eat anything like too wild, I'm going to seriously hurt myself.
Yeah.
And the temptation really fell off for me. Like at this point, like I'm having a very tough couple weeks, to be honest. Like my whole family got sick, and we're having to move, and just a lot of stuff going on. And I've been having a lot of emotional cravings. Like I've really been wanting some lentils and collard greens. Like that's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
And but I know that even if I wanted to, even if I ate that right now, I would be sick.
Yeah.
So sick. So for any of you out there who are over like 40 days, if you want to make it easier on yourself and you're having a hard craving, maybe just think about like how bad your stomach's going to hurt if you give in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when I had that first time, it was rough.
But yeah, and you needed to go through that. So don't beat yourself up as your first few times. Like say for me twice, I reinforced that that's not what I want to do, and I didn't like the frenzy state I went in. It was like back to my old patterns of just wanting to just suppress and numb everything. Soon as I just didn't want to use food to numb out as a drug, it was like, this is just not going to happen anymore. There's a fine line, isn't there? There's knowing, okay, let the lessons come up, but you've got to get to a time where it's like, really, do you want to keep putting yourself through that? And especially for you, all the this length of time now, we've gone so far. Yeah, it's not life or death, but it's you're gonna get sick, and if you can use
Yes.
these to encourage you not to reinforce, it's going to make this process much more easier on yourself. And that's where the self-love comes in, because people think, oh, but if I have something like pizza, it's I'm just going to love myself for it. But that's self-love is more like, no, you've come so far, why then choose that food? Let's look at something. Let's go deeper, like you with the journaling, finding out what is really going on here. Let's look at what is the deeper meaning of this. And that's what I find fascinating. I love going deeper, and it's not always easy, because sometimes you think, well, you want to fix it, right now. Doesn't always happen like that in the way you think it's going to happen. But just trust the process. It's really a lot of this journey is just trusting. You had a lot of trust and faith, and that's why I love those that are like Eileen's very big on the God. I mean, I know there's a universe. I don't have this religion, but I know there's something more. There's a universe. We're all infinite beings. And the more I trust, the more I enjoy this process. It's more fun, and then let it be, and the lessons will be there.
Yes. And God, the universe, the higher power, whatever anybody believes in, you are going to get closer and really like spiritually when you clean your temple. That is a whole nother
I know
aspect. It really, really strengthens you spiritually. I know it's really up-leveled me spiritually. I talk to the higher power so much more now, and have so much more trust. Like you said, it can be so hard to put our trust. So many of us, we try to, for me, like I would try to control everything, and I really had to let go of that. And it can be really difficult and scary. And I put this meme up on my page. It was like a video, and it's this kid, and he's on this zip line, and it's like just reminded me of what it's like on a juice cleanse. And there's parts where he's flying through, and he's like, "Yeah, this is awesome." And then he gets in these parts where he's like, "Ah, ah." That's what a juice cleanse is like. I always say it's the juicing roller coaster. It's just like ups and downs, and you think that you're taking care of the physical, and what you really don't realize is how much of an internal shadow work journey you are being forced on.
Yeah.
I thought I was just trying to get my health in order, but it's holistic.
Yeah. And it's worth it, because people think, oh, it's too much, but then you're going back to this suffering. Go through this short-term suffering, because it's going to give the long-term rewards. And it really, and this is why we share what we share, because it's so worth it. We want to show people it's worth it, not just physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And I feel for me it was more of the emotional, the mental aspect. It was the shifting of these deep traumas, these patterns that I keep coming back to, that is causing so much pain and so much suffering. And I didn't like myself. I didn't like this self. I don't want to be angry, self-critical. And there's times that it needs to come up, but keep on going, this consistency of it was not serving me or anyone else. So for those that, are listening and are unsure and scared, that if you do it together, there's going to be, and listen to others that are going through it, it's going to be a much more enjoyable, but much deeper experience, and worth it. Because if you can see yourself how long you've gone, it's super inspiring, and it shows you what's possible. So thank you for sharing your journey with us today, and doing what you're doing for your family, for those that are struggling. I could feel your pain. I could feel it. And it's so nice to see that you've come through the other side, and continue to go deeper, and much more of a light that you are. So thank you, Jennie. Really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Toni. You are just so sweet. I'm embarrassed, but I appreciate you. And I'm thankful for you. And, I love seeing your inspiration as well, like I mentioned, and I appreciate you sharing, because this is such a blessing that we've come into this life and that we have this lifestyle and this toolbox of juicing. Basically, both you and I talking right now, something that came to me a minute ago was just like you talking about how, you were feeling like some emotional pulls and you're going to do a juice cleanse. And that's something else that gives me faith, like going forward too, for all of you who are out there juicing. This is like something you put in your toolbox, right? So like, if I find myself, it's something that comforts me. You asked me if I was scared about refeeding. Well, part of my plan is that if I start eating again and I don't like where it's headed, I can always drink juice again. Like I know that now. It's in my toolbox, and that's not something I had in my self-care toolbox before. So once you have it there, you can go back to it, And so I think it's beautiful that you're doing that and just spreading the knowledge about the raw foods and how we can all really uplift our lives. So many people are suffering in silence, and you don't have to, crying alone and feeling like not knowing how to get out of like depression and self-hate and these negative thought patterns. Like you, for me, it was the thought patterns too that was the hardest part, not the juicing. It was working through deep trauma I had buried that I didn't even know. But when I started juicing, then I was able to deal with it, when before I just repressed it. So everybody out there, just know, this is something you could put in your toolbox, and it doesn't have to be long term either. You don't have to do 200 and something days. We all need something different. Maybe you just need 5 days. Maybe somebody out there listening, maybe you just need 3 days to help you to get going, to eat better. But we can definitely put this in our toolbox. And it's just so amazing the way that you are sharing and spreading the love and light. And I appreciate you having me. And
where can we find you, Jennie? Sorry, the light's coming in now. I have to get really close. Oh my goodness, I'm disappearing. Where can
the angel? She's changing into an angel before our eyes.
I shine so bright. Oh gosh, I'm totally where can everyone find you, Jennie? Where's your most accessible places?
Well, I am on Facebook, Jennie and Juice. Well, actually, Jennifer Price, and on Instagram, it's Jennie, JENNIE.and.juice. And then on YouTube, Jennie and Juice. I can throw you my links if you want to put them in the description if anyone wants to come see. I have like kids, and so I wish I could post more, but I do try to post, kind of regularly, but I'm building up to it. I'm kind of new, like I said, and a little bit shy. I do share, but I'm trying to get more videos going. But I definitely have some up there for those of you who are like getting started on juicing. And when I start eating again too, I'm going to make sure to show people what I'm eating, like, refeeding, what kind of raw foods I'm eating and how I'm feeling, just to help others kind of, have a plan in place too.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait for that. I'm excited. It's interesting because you feel sometimes is like, because I forget, most of the time I eat so simple, and people are like, what you're eating? And I'm like, oh, it's like mono meals, and I don't share as much food, and people are like, no, but they really want to know what you're eating. I'm like, and I take it for granted. And sometimes when you're in this journey, you're like, what you think is boring, it's inspiring to others. So I have to keep rechecking myself. And but it's interesting to see for me, it was more that I love the mindset part of it. Anyone who's talking about the strength of the mental aspects, I love the food, and I see an important part of it. That's why I don't share so much of the food, but I do see people. I get a lot of requests, and you're probably the same. What you juicing? Even that, I was like, "Ooh, lime, watermelon, pineapple, and mint." I'm trying it, so I get excited now. Whereas before, it was like, I really want to work, because that was my most, which is for most, it's the foundation, is the mental aspect. But the food does allow you to enjoy the process of the transitioning. Definitely for those starting out. But yeah, you share a lot of your journey. and they can find you on. I'll put all that in the description box. So thank you so much, Jennie. We always end with the be, feel, and stay rawlicious. So it's be, feel, stay rawlicious, and we do a kiss. If I don't disappear.
Okay.
So are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Be, feel, stay rawlicious. Yay! Oh, Jennie, thank you so much. It's such a light in this world. Thank you. And I wish you all the best for you and your family. Amazing. And keep sharing your light. Really appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toni. It's been a pleasure.